friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kira. I do videos on faith and following Jesus. Let's talk about living the life that God has called you to. What does it mean? What has God called you to do in your life? As Christians, as followers of Jesus, we are all called to love God and love one another. Jesus says these two commandments are the greatest. But we can also have individual callings or things that we are called to do by God. For me, I knew that entering into full-time ministry was one of those things for me. Not everyone's called to do that. We're called to make disciples in whatever space we occupy. But whatever God's called you to do specifically, how do you find that out? And then how do you launch yourself into doing that? Galatians 6 verses 4 through 5 says this in the Message translation. Make a careful exploration of who you are and the work you have been given, and then sink yourselves into that. Don't be impressed with yourself. Don't compare yourself to others. Each of you must take responsibility for doing the creative best you can with your own life. I come back to these two verses time and time again when I feel like I don't have a ton of direction, when I feel kind of almost lost in a way of like, what am I supposed to be doing? This can be career, but this can be your entire life as well. Look at your life. Make a careful exploration of who you are. Who are you? What are your interests, your passions? The things that make you excited, that you have questions about? What do you enjoy doing? What makes you excited that you lose track of time? And then on the other hand, Paul is saying, and look at the work you have been given specifically. What has God given you to do? What has He entrusted and put in your hands? Who has He surrounded you with? A good example of this is when I was working in fast food in high school to make money for college. And trust me, it wasn't, what I wanted to do long term. But I knew I was called to ministry, and that was the place I was in. So I made it a point that I was going to be the friendliest, kindest, most loving person I could be while I was there. I would talk to customers, look them in the eyes, smile, ask how their day's going, be polite and super responsive and attentive to them, even if I only saw them for a moment in the drive-thru. And I got so many people saying, why are you this way? I've never met anyone like you doing this. And it's an opportunity to share the gospel and the faith that has changed your life to be that way. And so, while that wasn't my favorite job, I owned those summers that I worked there. I gave it my all because that's where God had placed me for that time. And so, what has God given you to do, and where has He placed you to do it? Sometimes it requires a move, but a lot of the times it requires you where you are right now, whether it's where you want to be long term or not. That was a temporary situation for myself, but I decided, you know what, I'm here, I'm gonna own it. I'm not just gonna be wishing away these days, wishing I was back in school or wishing I had been graduated. Because let me tell you something sad. I was so passionate about doing my best for the Lord there, even sometimes more passionate than when I've been working in full-time ministry, which shouldn't be how it is, and it's convicted and challenged my heart. But where are you? Where has God called you to be right now? What has He given you to do? What has He made you specifically passionate about? What is He calling you to do? And how can you do it to honor and glorify Him with your spin to it? God made us beautifully different. And so the way that you and I might look at something would be totally different. And that's okay, because God knows when He called you. And it doesn't mean that we choose our preferences, but God in His infinite beauty and creativity made us different. He made us with personalities. And they need to be God honoring and things in our personality that honor Him. And if they don't, we need to change them. but we can use those to honor and glorify God and bring forth his kingdom. It says, each of you must take responsibility for doing the creative best you can with your own life. There are specific things God calls us to, and then God leaves us room and margin for us to make some choices. And you need to run everything past God first. You need to say, God, is this okay? God, is this what you're calling me to? And if you don't feel a direct response, use the wisdom he's given you and the wisdom of the people that you've surrounded yourself with who are helping lead and guide you, whether they're mentors or godly community. And just go forth and take what God has equipped you with and do the creative best you can with your own life. That one day when you stand before the Lord, you say, God, I gave it everything. I gave everything to see your kingdom, your will be done on earth, in my town, in my circles, in my school, as it is in heaven. I pray this as an encouragement to you today. If you have any questions, please leave them down below. And as always, if you have prayer requests, we would love to pray for you. You can either comment down below or direct message me on Instagram. I love you all so much. Have a fantastic day.